one. Good evening, Mohave families. This is Dr. Asmussen, your proud principal of the school. I'm here with PTO and with Nurse Sharp, and we had our pre-recording the day before, so please, we apologize for any bloopers that might happen. I'm going to turn it over to Nurse Sharp, who's going to give us some information from the health office, and then she will log out. Nurse Sharp, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mohave families. Just a few things from the health office. The most important thing this year is to please keep your children home if they are sick. I'm having students come in and say, I didn't feel good this morning. I told mom or dad, and they sent me to school. If your child doesn't feel well in the morning, please keep them home. That is the biggest mitigation strategy that we have currently. If your student is ill, please call the attendance line. Let Becky Alwag know, our attendance secretary, or if you call me, your directive is going to be that if the symptomology falls within the list of COVID symptoms, that your child is going to need to have a COVID test in order to come back to school. Please get that test as soon as possible. And if your child is well after receiving a negative result, they can come back to school. I need a copy of the COVID result. Not a screenshot of what they sent you in a text message. I need the actual lab result that says your child is negative for COVID. At that point, your child can return to school. The same scenario is in place if your child is quarantined. I need a copy of their negative COVID result for them to come back before the end of the 10-day quarantine process. I'm very, very busy this year. I do not have time to make dozens of phone calls. So if you have been directed to send in a negative COVID test result, please send it with your student or email it to me. That will cut down on the number of phone calls that we have to make. The district and the superintendent, we are encouraging everyone to wear masks, students and staff, and age-appropriate students to get vaccinated. If your child is vaccinated and they have to quarantine, they do not have to quarantine if they've had the vaccine. So the district is encouraging students to mask up and to get a vaccine. If you know that your student has other health issues or needs medication at school, say they need an EpiPen or a seizure medication, please get that to the school as soon as possible, so we have that here should we need it. You've done a great job in returning student emergency cards. Thank you all very much. If you still haven't returned your student's card, please do that. Send it in with them and have them give it to their first period teacher. We're off to a great start, and I look forward to getting to know all of your students. Have a great year. Thank you.
Thank you, Nurse Sharp. And if you'd like to log out and continue doing what you do in the health office, please do so. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Noelle Fox and Jill Mullen, our PTO co-presidents, and they've got some messages out of PTO.
I am Jill Mullen. I'm co-president of Mohave PTO with Noelle Fox.
And hello, as she mentioned, I am Noelle Fox, and I'm co-president here with Jill Mullen. And we just want to let you know that we're here to support our community, which consists of our kids and teachers. And we appreciate anything you can give, whether it's time or a donation. Just to let you know, with those donations, we are able to support the PAUSE program, which is a positive reinforcement program we have here to support our kids when they make great decisions and excellent performance. Along with that, we're able to support our performing arts with sectionals. In addition, we also support our teachers via teacher appreciation and also support them with various in-classroom requests. In addition to that, we can also support them with professional development initiatives. And this is all possible through your donations and also the time that you give here to our community. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you around.
And out and about on tonight's evening program, you'll be able to find PTO downstairs in the 6th grade wing and over by the Fine Arts building. So please make sure you have an opportunity or you'd stop by their table. Noelle and Jill, thank you. And I know that you guys needed to log off as well, so please feel free. And I will wrap up this video for our parents. Okay, parents, today, this evening program for you is a time for you to learn what parents, what your students are going to learn while they're here this year. So curriculum night is all about talking about curriculum. What is it that we want our students to know? How do we know if they know it? And how are we going to differentiate our instruction in the event that a student already knows it or they're struggling getting that information? So it's not about the individual family conversations about particular students. It's about the really large picture, the 50,000-foot view about what we're doing this year here at Mohave Middle School. So the format of this evening, after these morning announcements, you'll spend the next 10 minutes in first period, and then you'll have 5 minutes to pass to second period. Again, you'll have 10 minutes in that second period class, 5-minute passing, 10-minute period, 5-minute passing, and we go through the rest of the day or the schedule of your student. Now, in first period, we have placed all of our students' schedules. So if you don't know your child's schedule or if you cannot bring it up on parent view, don't panic. Your first period teacher should have your schedule of your child, so that way you can pull that and go about finding from period 1 to period 2, period 3, on and on and on. Here at Mohave, this year, we really have a focus on teaching in an interdisciplinary way, where our students don't just think of math as only taking place during math class for those 52-minute class periods, but rather math takes place all day long. Language arts can be found in social studies and in science and in the elective choices. We're asking our students to support their claims with evidence and reasoning, and we're really taking on a STEAM approach to teaching and learning where it's interdisciplinary. So you may hear that claims, evidence, and reasoning is going to be something that I hope that you hear as the evening progresses in many of the classrooms. I want to talk about grading windows. So we're already 10 days into the academic year, and I'm looking up at my calendar, on September 3rd, we're actually halfway through the first quarter. So we're just 2 weeks away from the midpoint, where you're going to receive an email from all of your from your first period teacher that's going to have you look at Synergy and look at your child's grades on Wednesday, September 8th. Now, midterm reports, they're not final grades. They're just there so that way you have a barometer, so that way you have a picture in time of how your child is progressing through the quarter. We're going to do those progress reports at the midway point, halfway through, and then we're going to do it again 3/4 of the way through the whatever quarter, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4, because that will give our parents time to work with their students so that way their children can earn the grades that they are capable of. This might be a good cue for you to reach out to a teacher individually, or even to reach out to the counselor if needed to schedule a parent-teacher conference so we can put plans in place for your student to meet academic success. Now, oftentimes, particularly with our 6th grade families and our 6th grade students, this might be the first time that students have struggled at school. And I want parents to know that it is good when students go through that productive struggle. Productive struggle is how we learn. And so if there's no struggle, there may not be any learning that's taking place. If a student shows up to the class and they're always getting those A's and they always know the information, even before the teacher is presenting it, they're not learning something new. We want them to go through that struggle, but sometimes that's going to cause a child to shut down. We don't want productive struggle to be frustration. So you really have to monitor your student and their progress. And if we get to a point of frustration, that would be a good cue to reach out to the teacher of that subject matter or to reach out to the counselor, and we may need to do a parent-teacher conference. Later this year, after October break, we have 2 days set aside by the district for parent-teacher conferences. And we really only have 2 afternoons set aside. I don't want us to wait till October to do a parent-teacher conference. If you feel that we need to get together, let's get together. Reach out to either the individual teacher to set that meeting or to the guidance counselor to set a team meeting. We will do the same. We're not going to wait until the child has been so frustrated that they're not able to move forward. Rather, once we see that happening, we may reach out for a parent-teacher conference to talk about academics and/or behaviors. We're ready to get our after-school tutoring up in place. Now, there's 2 types of tutoring that are going to take place this year due to the COVID pandemic. The first is what we've always offered, brick and mortar. We've always offered after school from 2:30 until 3:30, a quiet place for students to come, to get some of their homework done with a certified teacher at the front of the room. Now, sometimes we have as few as 10 people show up, as sometimes we have as many as 35 people show up. So right now we have tutors in place starting next week. We may get this going a little bit quicker, but definitely starting next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays after school from 2:30 until 3:30, we'll have that quiet place for students to do some of their homework with a certified teacher in the library with them, 2:30 to 3:30, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Now, we won't be able to offer that one-on-one support. We'll be able to help students through the challenge. We'll have to help them find their resources and help them think about their thinking as they complete their homework. Because of the pandemic, we are working directly with our district office in setting up some tutors in the event that a student is quarantined. They won't be able to make use of the after-school brick and mortar tutoring. They'll have to do something online. So when that information is solidified, more information will come out. I know that our district did send out a letter last week, and we're going to continue to learn about that program and continue to share that information with our parent community. We will also be offering some education opportunities for our parents. When I met with PTO, we talked about having programs to talk about the social and emotional well-being of our students. So our guidance counselors and our new school social worker are putting that program together. It'll be a Zoom call and it'll take place in September. I'm also working with Leslie Russell from the Attorney General's office to have a program in October that will be on social media and some of the dangers that are out there that when our students are tapping into the internet and tapping into different types of social media. And then as we go into November and December, we'll be looking at the dangers of vaping, the dangers of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco, also presented by Leslie Russell. So we're trying to front load and get as many parent programs in place before the winter break, because we know this is the time that our parents need that information. Also, I encourage you to join me the first Friday of every month. I'll be sending out a Zoom link via email to all of our families. And what we're hoping, that'll be the coffee with the principal. I encourage you to join. I'll give a small presentation on some of the things that are happening inside and outside of the classrooms here at Mohave Middle School. And it'll also be a time for me to answer all of your questions with regard to our school. And of course, if you ask a question that I don't have the answer to, I'll be upfront and honest about that. And then I'll go find that information that I can share with who asked it and with those that attended the coffee with the principal. I strongly encourage this community to join PTO. We're also in the process of working with PTO and a few dads that are on campus at our feeder school, Navajo Elementary. They have a dad's club. It's been super successful. And we have a core group of fathers that are interested in doing something similar here at Mohave Middle School. I've already sent an email out to them, welcoming them. And then now I'm going to welcome more fathers, more dads that would like to get involved. If you're interested in being part of a dad's club, please find me. I will offer you my business card. Send me an email or give me a phone call directly. Finally, let me talk about communication with the school. There's multiple ways to find out about the happenings here at Mohave Middle School. I believe that the best place to find information about Mohave is by making a connection with our school directly. Certainly PTO is going to be communicating things. We have the Parents of Mojave's Facebook page where you can find some information, but the best place to find your answers to your questions is to call the school directly. Either call our main line and the front reception will transfer you to either the appropriate counselor, the school psychologist, the assistant principal, the nurse, or myself. Please call me or email me directly. I really want to work with families one-on-one. I love to engage in telephone conversations because that way we can ask each other clarifying questions and we can make sure that what your concerns are addressed, and we can make sure that your questions are answered specifically. And oftentimes, each child is unique, and each time we engage in a conversation, there might be some nuances that are specific to your child. So please don't hesitate to call the school directly, to call me directly, to call our assistant principal, Kristen Tyndall, directly, to email us directly. We really want to engage in that conversation. Soon, the district will be opening up Let's Talk for each of the sites, including Mohave. But again, I feel that the best way for us to communicate is to have that direct communication, either through email or in a personalized conversation, or if we want to set up a meeting, we can do that too. Once again, I thank all of our parents for being here this evening. Your involvement in your child's education is one step that's going to increase their engagement, increase their participation, and increase what they're going to get out of this academic year. When we work together, it takes 3 of us to really impact and hold up and lift a child. It takes the school doing their part, it takes our parents doing their part, and it takes our students doing their part. But when all 3 of us come together for the benefit of one child, great things can happen. So thank you for being here this evening. We're going to go right into first period. You will hear an all call from me that is the end of the period. After 5 minutes, teachers will just naturally begin the next period. And then 10 minutes after that, I will be the bell and an all call telling us that we have now ended second period. Then 15 minutes later, so 5 minutes worth of passing, 10 minutes worth of third period, we'll just continue on. When our 8th grade families get to 4th period, there is no lunch, there is no reading. This is time for you to gather as a community. I encourage you to go down to the PTO tables. So there is nothing for our 8th grade families to do 4th period. For our 7th grade families, you do not go to lunch during 5th period, and we're not doing reading, so you'll have a free period during 5th period. And for our 6th grade families during 6th period, during that lunch and reading time, again, during tonight's program, you will have free time to make a connection with your your friends here on campus, as well as the PTO. So periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes per period, 5 minutes per passing. Please come and find us in the hallways if you have any need or help. Once again, have a great evening. And as we always say here at Mohave Middle School, stay mighty Mohave.